Live action. Guys, we're here with Grant Cardone. We're in Propelio's studio. I want to thank them for letting us use this. Grant, for those of y'all who don't know him, I don't know how y'all could not know him, but he's got $2 billion worth of assets under management, the way I understand it today. I'm having trouble keeping up with the guy, though. He buys so much so often. Grant, how much do you have under escrow right now? What are you looking at right now?
We have, I think I have 3 deals, a 67, a 90, 80, 89, and a 140. So whatever that is. And we just closed $137 million deal in Maryland, 536 units. So these other 3 deals, they'll drop probably January, February.
Dude, that's amazing. That's million, guys. That's not, those aren't $130,000 deals. Those are millions. So, Grant, I ran across you on the Bigger Pockets podcast for the first time. It literally changed my life. We now own 300
units. I got to tell you, I get a lot of hate from Bigger Pockets.
Oh, no. You get a lot of hate from everywhere. Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, success has enemies, right?
Dude, that's right. That's absolutely right. See, I get a lot of hate just for following your content so much. And actually, your team hated on me when I made Top Fan. They blocked me from your channel because I was self-promoting Roughneck Real Estate on there. So I can't even comment on your stuff anymore on Facebook because I was doing so much self-promotion. So, I mean, everybody's got haters, and Bigger Pockets is one of your biggest source. But that podcast, whenever I listened to it, I heard that South Louisiana draw. I worked in the oil field for 13 years, so I knew those guys, you know what I mean? And I heard it, and it spoke to my soul. And the next thing I did was read the 10X rule, and I was laid off from work, had a $30,000 a month void in my life, and was going to try to make it back flipping houses. And I found out I wasn't worth the shit at flipping houses. And now we've got 300 units buy and hold, and we are currently buying apartment complexes in the 20 to 57 unit range, all from your online platform. Basically, you in front of a whiteboard taught us how to evaluate those deals, and I can't thank you enough for that. I just wanted to get that out of the way at the beginning.
As soon as I finish this, I'm going to go do every Monday I do like a 45-minute, maybe a 1-hour show on how to buy apartments.
So one of the things that stood out to me, because I've been doing my research on you to catch up, was on that first podcast, you'd bought 2,200 units in Tucson, okay?
Yeah.
And you said on there that you did that because it wasn't in any of the books or brochures that they were sending out on the evaluations. And so there was less resistance there, so that's why you moved into it. At that moment, your rent, your average rent was $1,100 a door, and you had 3,500 units, I think is what you have. What do you have now under management, and what's your average rent per door today? And that was 5 years ago.
7,000. I mean, it's, let's see, how many years is this different? 15 years difference. We have 7,000 units now, and I think at that time I had 2,200 units.
You on the podcast you said 3,500 units.
Maybe okay. So we sold that whole portfolio before the crash.
Okay.
And I didn't do that great on it. It was a double, which that's fine, right? But I mean, we look for doubles and triples, but it's not uncommon for us to get a home run, a 4-bagger, or even infinite returns, meaning that we get all our money out of the deal and we control and own it. And we're at 7,100 units right now. We'll be at 8,000 by January.
What's your average rent on those?
Probably 1,700, maybe 18.
Now, in some of your interviews, you're saying that your wages are flat, which we all know that. That's been the case for the last 10 years. Why'd your comfort level go up from $1,100 a door to $1,700, $1,800 a door? Is that an amenities play? What went into that?
Well, we're also not buying Tucson. $1,100 in Tucson is actually like $2,000 in Miami.
That's
so
true.
You got to think about what market we're buying in too, right? We're buying Florida, Texas. I'm in Austin, Texas at I think $1,625 a month, and my neighbor's Apple computer.
Oh yeah, no, Austin's great.
You got it. I'm in Maryland. That deal we just closed in Maryland. I think the rents are $1,700 a month there, but my nearest employer is Whole Foods.
Dude, that's amazing. some of the
Yeah.
things I'm seeing, at least because
And let me just say this, and also like in Maryland, the housing around the neighborhood is over $1 million. In Tucson, you know, the average housing is probably 140.
oh yeah,
So you got to take a lot of. There's never one number. Any investor should never get stuck on one number, except for the first thing, the number of units.
well,
The number of units controls whether or not your property is going to be scalable during contractions, which is what you're questioning right now about me moving to a higher rent. You're like, hey, what happens if there's a contraction and 1,800 becomes 1,650?
well, and that was the question, because we all grow as investors. You started out with a single family home, didn't do that well on it, and moved on to 38 units in San Diego. So
I didn't do well on it, but I did. I doubled my money and got cash flow while I was in it, right? But I was terrified, right? It was taken away from my first job. And this is the problem with most real estate for most people. And this is why on the Bigger Pockets interview, the one that you liked and so many other people, bragged on me about, was that the single family just doesn't work. It doesn't work as an investment property. The flipping thing works. The wholesaling thing works for a while. And then I promise you, I have never met a wholesaler that didn't want to not wholesale.
oh no. Look, I hate wholesaling. I hate wholesaling. I mean, we buy everything.
You're terrified all the time.
Well, you can't force appreciation in a single family home, where you can force appreciation with scale. And that's what we learned from you, you know what I mean? And then, your Tucson bit, you don't go where there's cranes, if they're building more inventory, you don't want to be there. And we took that, and I'm from a small town in Texas. I'm from Groesbeck, Texas. There's 4,000 people there, and there's one apartment complex, 2 apartment complexes in the whole town, maybe 40 units of apartments in the whole town, but there's a waiting list to get into those apartments. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I can't do what Grant's doing because I ain't got the cash flow yet. I don't have that money. But what would the old man down the street take for these 30 units? And we got into 57 units that are going to be worth about $3.5 million stabilized for $800,000. And we're going to be able to rip equity out of that through a Freddie Fannie product when we get there, and we're going to be able to do the next deal. So it's kind of like the same thing you're talking about with Whole Food. I go into county seats, I go into agriculture communities. If John Deere's got inventory there, I want inventory there. If there's a John Deere dealership, John Deere isn't wasting money. They're not going to put a dealership where they think farming's going to go out of business. And it's a little bit different model, but it's a lot. It's lower rent, so your expenses are a lot different. A hot water heater and $800 a month rent costs the same as a hot water heater and your $1,700 a month rent. So your expenses are a little skewed, but you gotta look at all that when you're going in. But we kind of were able to finagle our own Grant Cardone strategy with the skill set we have, and being able to scale up to try to get some money to put into Cardone Capital. You know what I mean? To go after the big stuff. But something I've seen. I drove 96,000 miles in 2018. We own a mobile home park up by Amarillo, Texas. And, we know some things about Amarillo. There's going to be a water crisis there eventually. They're going to run out of water. But there's some interesting things. And I get up there, and they're building out in the middle of a cornfield an apartment complex straight up, 3-2s, straight up above commercial, like restaurants. You know what I mean? You can get if I was 20, it'd be the perfect place for me to live. It would have women, alcohol, and food, and I didn't need much else then in life. But at 35, I don't know that it does me much good. You know what I mean? I don't know that I'm going to move into that product and enjoy it. The only thing I'd care about is the food. And, if I had a woman, I'd want her to work at like the bougie steakhouse down there so I wouldn't have to wait to get down there and eat. I don't know that I'm going to live there long term. And it's in the middle of Amarillo.
I think they're doing it for the workers, the employee base that's, taking advantage of the fracking that's probably they're anticipating is going to continue there.
I worked in the oil field, but anyway, I'm enamored by it because that's when I see it, I know that the model works. I know that I want to live where I socialize, right? I want to be able to go down to the bar or the club or you know what I mean? They've got a movie theater that they put there. I want to be able to do those things. Is that some of your investment model? What do the units look like that you buy right now?
Look, the thing that The thing that I think you could be like, there's 200,000 people live in Amarillo, dude. I ain't going there.
Oh, no. And which is why this was an anomaly.
I need a population. I need an exit. The one thing that you guys want to look at is how are you going to exit that little deal that you're in your own backyard? You're doing that. Look, I spoke to you on that bigger pockets thing because it hit you. You're like, what am I doing here? Now I'm going to hit you again.
Okay.
You got to get out of that city you're in.
I agree.
There's no exit. You have to have frequency of activity. You got to have activity to exit anything.
I agree.
A stock is only worth what if you got buyers for it. So the problem with Bitcoin doesn't have any sellers. You got to have sellers and you got to have buyers.
Correct. Well,
and so unless something happens in, I don't know what they're building in Amarillo. I don't know exactly what the deal is they're building, but somebody is building a 3-2, which means I don't think they want a family there. I think they want workers there. I think they're planning a product there for businesses. I could be completely wrong, by the way.
Well,
but I think, yeah.
It's something that I looked at when I see it. It doesn't make sense to me either because it's literally sitting in the middle of a cornfield. There's nothing else by it. You know what I mean? It's like if we went and just built a community and we're just going to live out there. You know what I mean? It's in the middle of a cornfield, so it didn't make sense to me either. But when you're buying in Miami or you're buying in Maryland, are you looking for the amenities on the bottom floor? Like what?
No. I'm looking for the first thing I'm looking for. Okay, do I love the property? Okay. The amenities are nothing. You can add every amenity there is. You want an espresso machine? It costs me. You made a point. Like it costs me $800 for an espresso machine. It costs you $800. Like it doesn't get any cheaper because you're smaller.
Right.
I just got further. I can support the cost. So when I see a deal, what I'm looking for is jobs. I'm looking for population, jobs today and jobs in the future, not just jobs today. So like I could go to North Dakota, but I don't think there's going to be jobs 10 years from now, and I can't exit. I'm looking for cash flow. I'm looking for scale. I'm looking for, hey, would I move my family in this property? I'm looking for the jobs that support it and the employers around it. I'm looking for access to Starbucks and Whole Foods and the things that people like doing every day.
So how long?
Shopping centers bother me. Like this deal is close to a shopping center, but sometimes like some shopping centers bother me. If I'm in Aventura, North Miami, and I'm close to the Aventura Mall, I'm good. But there's some cities where if I go to Tampa and I'm close to the mall, there's some malls up there that are going to die. Only a few malls will live in cities in the future, is my belief. And some malls aren't good. Like if you got a J.C. Penney's and a Sears, and those malls are going to die.
100%. And that's why this model I think is being built, because the mall is the first floor of the complex.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've been to Waco, Texas.
What's probably happened is they're probably forcing. What happens in a lot of cities force retail. It's very popular that the politics force retail on the bottom floor. Everywhere that I go, it's been a disaster.
Okay.
It reminds me of when they were forcing the malls. Every little town in America had to redo their downtown mall. I don't even know of one that worked. I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They redid the downtown like 7 times. It never worked.
Well, you spoke at Baylor in Waco a couple of years ago when you were looking at a property in Austin.
Yeah.
During that, I thought it was great that you were out there talking to the tenants at the complex in Austin, because that's exactly what we do when we're evaluating a property. Hey man, who's got this? Who's got that? Where's the drug dealer? Where's the, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, if I needed something, where would I go to get it? We're trying to figure out who's living there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the clientele like? And I've seen you doing that, and you spoke to Baylor. In Waco, they built that model with the mall at the bottom floor, and they have at least a store in that thing. And it's
and when you travel, see, I go all over the country looking at product. I even look at product in Singapore, London, Sydney. I want to see what's going on in other markets, what's working and what doesn't work. Because one of the things about investing is you want to avoid mistakes. Investing in real estate is not like an Instagram meme. if you fail, I learned so much from failure. Like, you don't want to do that in real estate. You got to learn from other people in real estate. Otherwise, you're gonna fail. Period. Because you can only go to bat so many times, and if you don't get a hit, dude, you're not Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the sellers, the buyers, investors, nobody's going to support you if you strike out too many times.
That's 100% right. People think, at least there's a lot of, I'm always roasting gurus out here telling you this shit's easy. This shit ain't easy. And it's not a no money business. Everybody pitches wholesaling as a no money business. It might be for 2 deals, but then it becomes a money business.
It's a no money business if you don't value your time.
Well, it's a no money business, like in the car business, when you get to sell 2 leads real quick because you know people that want to buy cars. After that, you got to figure something out. You know what I mean? When you know 2 people that want to sell a house, you can help them move that house. But after that, you've got to invest in yourself. You got to know where to go to find leads. So that's kind of a beef I have with the wholesaling industry as a whole. One of the other questions I wrote down was, what debt service coverage ratio are you going for now? I watched a couple of podcasts ago. You're putting about 40% down now. You do that with your own capital up front, and then you bring the fund in to buy in at a later date. What debt service coverage ratio are you going for? Because you're getting
it depends on the deal. We did a deal. One deal at 71%. We did another deal at 60%. So I'll do a deal lower than that. If I love the deal, and this is another thing that people look at structure, and they compare my fund to somebody else's. They pay more than you do, or they pay an extra point. You got to look at the deal. Nobody's offering investors the kind of real estate that I offer.
Well, I don't know anything about a fund. Like you are the only person I know with a fund. I wouldn't know how to structure one. I wouldn't know how they pay. I just know if I give you money, you'll give me back a check, and my money's going to be safe. And when we exit, we're going to get more money.
I had a guy tell me the other day. He's like, "Man, I got 250 with you, and I put 250 with a buddy because he's paying 2 points more." I said, "Dude, I don't care what he's paying more today. How are you going to get out of the deal?"
What everybody needs to go.
The exit is where you make your score.
Everybody needs to go watch your video on how to make 15%, because when they watch that video, it'll make sense to them. I'm going to make 5% a year right now on the front side, and then we're going to sell. We got the equity pay down. We've got the profit, and you broke it down. I think on a
we have a deal I closed 3 years ago. I told the investors it was the first deal we ever offered to the public, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think it's going to do?" I said, I think it's going to do 12 or 13, but I'm going to tell you it's going to do 6 or 7.
Right.
And I said, it's going to do 6 or 7 for a year or 2. And then at the end of the year, if I do everything right, I'm going to be able to pay everybody a bonus. Okay. This year, the deal did 13% throughout the year. And then I doubled that.
Was that from raising rent?
That's cash flow, by the way.
Right.
And if I can produce that kind of cash flow, the next buyer will pay me more money because we increase the rents without spending a bunch of money there, which means that you get better cash flow out of the deal and you get a better exit. But you got to be able to exit. Just because something cash flows in Cleveland, in maybe you go to inner city Baltimore and it cash flows 10 or 11%. Yeah, but you're not going to have a buyer when you try to get out of the deal.
What most people miss on cap rate is, at least what I see is, yes, it is a rate of return, but it's also the risk you're taking. You know what I mean? When we're buying in rural America, it's because we want to solve a particular problem, which is the property management problem. Nobody else can buy there because they can't manage it. If we solve property management, we can get equity. If we can get equity, we can manage it properly. We can get debt on it. If we can get debt on it, we can not have money in the deal and be able to go do our next deal. So, we built that model because we're in a little triangle in between Houston, San Antonio, and DFW, where people are moving out of the cities and into the country because they can't afford to live in the cities anymore. So the population is growing, but it's a weird thing for me to watch too, because when you first look at it, you're like, what's going on here? Why is it going on? Some of the things that I wrote down on my board over here is deferred maintenance. When you get into a property, okay, so you look at some really good product. That product you were looking at in Austin, I don't know when it was built, but it wasn't that long ago. So
no, that was 15 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that property been made.
You can't really tell how old it is.
No, you couldn't. It looked very. I mean, it looked fresh paint. The pavement looked good.
Perfect example. One owner, okay, big group. Gables owned that deal. 88 acres of land. I mean, I bought it when I knew how much land there was, and the location's irreplaceable. We paid $220 a door. You're like, $220 a door? Damn.
Holy shit!
You know, they made a bunch of money on me. I think they made 25 million bucks on me over their price. We think the rents are $200 lower than they should be because the guy that owned it, the group that owned it, their cost basis allows them to produce cash flow without raising the rents.
So why would you? You know what I mean? Like, that's their thoughts on it. Why would I raise rent? I don't want to deal with the vacancies. Yeah.
You know, the path of least resistance. Everybody takes it.
Yep. So
now that being said, let me just give you the downside of this. You know, I thought that deal would do 6% in year one. It's probably going to do more like 3.5%.
Okay.
Because there's some pressure in Austin from new product coming on.
Ton of cranes in Austin. I drove through Austin yesterday. Cranes all over the place. They're building straight up over there on both sides of 35, and they've never gone to the east side of 35. So I mean, there is pressure there. And you know, when I'm looking at Austin, I know the water crisis that they run into from year to year, depending on how much rain we get, always bothers them a lot more than it bothers the rest of the state. They always try to legislate against us for what's happening in Austin. We're like, hey, bro, we're not. You know, I can water my yard, like, you know what I mean? We got plenty of water out here. So it's kind of an interesting market, but you are right. Your neighbors are Apple. You should, you know, I don't, half of California is going to be living there in 3 years.
So the point of that was, I'm not going to hit my cash flow expectation, but I would buy the deal again because I know it's an irreplaceable asset. You can't build it again. The barriers to entry are very high there. The cost to build is high. And even though, you know, you couldn't build the deal for $220 a door, what I paid. And if you could build it, it wouldn't be on 88 acres. And it would take you probably into 2022. I'm buying stuff for long term. I'm not buying it because I want to flip it next month.
That was my next question. Now, on the deferred maintenance, when you're evaluating a property, that particular property's 15 years old. So you know that the air conditioners are getting close to their lifespan or will be. What do you factor?
We bank everything we think we need in the next 5 years up front.
Okay, that was my question. So do you get a roof inspector to go out and try to bang the last guy's insurance for a roof? Like, do you like what are some of those strategies? What do they look like when you're banking for everything for the deferred maintenance?
This deal was $101 million, you know, so it's like you can't play any of those games with these guys. They're like, hey, dude, we're not banging roofs.
Look, I don't know if it works on smaller units, it might work on bigger units. See, if you get somebody to evaluate the deal, he won't have to pay for it. He won't have to pay for it. His insurance will. If the damage was already there and you can prove which storm it comes from. I'm just saying, you let Lee Height do a roof for you, it might be worth having him out and look at a couple. It hails a lot in Texas. You might be able to go back to the previous owner's insurance policy and get you some fresh roofs.
We've done that before, but we don't make a habit of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just tossing it out there. So, what are some other things you look for in a deal? You look who your neighbors are going to be. You're looking long term, but what's long term for you? Is it 10 years, 20 years, 10 years? Your exit, is it always sell, or will you pull equity?
No, it could be never sell. You know, one of the strategies is we're just going to get our money back and just sit and get infinite returns.
What's the longest you've been in a deal right now today?
Let's see. The longest I was in a deal was Claremont, San Diego, California. I was in that deal probably, seemed like 15 years. Took money out 3 times.
Awesome.
Bought it for $3 million, sold it for 10 or 11. Cash flowed every year except 1 year that we did a major rehab on it.
That's awesome.
And I'll bet you I left $5 million on the table.
Sold it too soon?
Shouldn't have sold the deal. But what happened, and this is what people don't understand. They're like, well, why would you sell the deal then? I had a partner in the deal. He wanted to do other stuff. I got tired of hearing his bullshit, so I'm like, let's just sell the deal and move on.
Well, that's a big part of it. I see a bunch of partnerships breaking up every day on my news feed. So
people just want to do different things, you know.
Numbers.
And so the new guy comes in. The new guy comes in and does exactly what we should have done. Got rid of the manager and changed the demographic of the renter, and then the rents went up again.
Dude, that's awesome. So, do you know what he exited it for or no?
Oh, he's still in the deal.
He's still in it?
Yeah.
What's the longest one you have in your portfolio right now?
Oh, man, let me see. What would that be? Got them all right here. Let me see. It would be probably the 1,000 units I bought when I first came to Florida. That was like, when did I buy that? 10 maybe? Yeah, they're about 10 years old.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I got all my money back out of that deal plus 55 million already.
Dude, those are insane numbers. And I've been.
I put 15 million down.
Okay.
I got all that back.
Okay.
Plus 55 million in cash.
On a refi or rent?
And it's going to pay me 4 million in cash this year.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Did you do a refi?
It's unbelievable. Like sometimes like on Bigger Pockets, I would not even tell the story on Bigger Pockets because there's so many people that don't understand real estate there. They're going to be like, you can't do that. No. And paid no taxes on any of those events. Dude,
you refied. You pulled it out. We're going. Our first apartment deal was 26 units. Bought it. Got a 1.7 appraisal on it. We bought it for 1.2. It also had some land next to HEB. The land's valued at about $800,000. So we're selling the land. We don't need the land. We thought we were going to do self-storage. It's going to be more of a distraction than anything else. And we're getting ready to pull some equity out of it. Right now we're going through the refi on it to pull some equity out to get our capital back out of it so we can go do our next deal. And
good for you, man.
And we forced appreciation on it. I mean, the rents there were $400 a door low. So, you know, just being able to see that opportunity from watching Grant Cardone videos on, Facebook is an amazing time to be alive. You know what I mean? Like when you were studying real estate, you didn't have a guy sitting there in front of you with a whiteboard telling you, hey, here's how this stuff works.
No, bro, there was barely books on it. Like, how do you call a broker? What do you say? What is GPR? What is NOI? What is, like, what return should I be looking for? I didn't know anything. I just knew one thing, and this is the most important thing your viewer should know. You need to know that the particular kind of real estate that Ryan and I are talking about, you got to know, you got to understand the advantages of the leverage, the amortization, the appreciation, the cash flow, the location. If you know the exit, you're always going to make money on this kind of real estate, as long as you don't over leverage.
That's true. And that's
and you can't really over leverage today because the lenders, if you're doing everything straight, the lenders aren't going to let you.
No, they won't. The Freddie Franny product, I mean, it's a statement. We went through their underwriting. We're still going through their underwriting. It's interesting underwriting process. And
they become more of a partner than a lender, right? They're not going to let you do stupid stuff.
No, they won't. They absolutely won't. So it's been a very, very, very fun ride since we got into multifamily. We did multiple mobile home parks. I still like mobile home parks, but we're owner financing those off. I think it's going to be the affordable living for the middle class. I think it's really safe. But we've got 10 mobile home parks, or we've sold a couple of them, I think, and we're going to owner finance out some more, just to kind of clean our books up a little bit. Because as we want to get into bigger deals, we know that we're just not going to be able to have this stuff in our portfolio. We can have a note on our portfolio, but we don't want to have necessarily these assets in our portfolio. So I watched a video this morning on the way up here. You talked about flexing with your work ethic. And everybody, you just need to Google Grant Cardone work ethic. It's about a 4-minute long video. Everybody here needs to go watch it. I don't know who you were talking to. You were in a boardroom. I don't know who it was. But you talked about how many haters you have in your own peer group, in the people that we all look up to, you know what I mean, that you share stages with. And they hate you because they can't outwork you. And you don't have to go buy a car or any of that stuff. I mean, you buy all that from passive income, but you don't have to buy any of that stuff. You can just flex with your work ethic. Kind of dive into that a little bit. Tell. You know, I think some people, especially with their social media profile, they think that, you know, they can't afford to be Grant Cardone, and they're trying to look like Grant Cardone, and it's just like, you know, hey bro, did you not just hear the man? He's going to pick up $4 million this year, passive out of a deal. He's already got $55 million out of tax free. You're not even in the same league. You know what I mean? Like you mortgaging your home to buy a watch ain't doing nobody no favors to get some likes and comments. So kind of touch on how you can flex with your work ethic, because, you know, I was flexing with my work ethic for a while, but then I got a massive amount of haters. So I kind of scaled it back a little bit and focused on my business. So touch on that. Tell people.
You know, I mean, some of that is just, you know, to gain attention on social media and you know, get people talking like you got your attention, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's called the flex, right? What is the flex? The flex could be the jet, it could be the watch, it could be the car, it could be just straight up, dude. There's no keeping up with me. I mean, here it is the day before Christmas or something close to that.
Absolutely.
I'm in my office banging it out.
Same place we are. It was like, you know.
I'm a finish hard. I'll be working Christmas Day. Now other people will be like, oh no, that isn't right, you know.
Well,
and I'm a flex with my kids all day Christmas Day too, while I'm working. Probably gonna have them working. So, you know, some of that stuff, bro, some of that is just to put the competition back too.
What? No, it definitely throws the competition back. They know. You know what I mean? Like I've watched it. I drove 96,000 miles looking at real estate.
Yeah, I don't know if you're bragging or complaining about that.
I'm not. I'm bragging. I'm bragging. Believe me.
I don't know that I would brag about driving 96,000 miles.
Hey, you got to look at a lot of real estate to buy a little bit of real estate. I mean, look, I only buy in the state of Texas. I'm a Texas kid. I only buy in the state of Texas. I got a lot of.
You got to change that, dog. You got to change that.
I got to think big.
You live on a rock flying through the universe.
Oh, I know. Have you? There's a book called The Accidental Superpower. I don't know if you've read it, but check it out if you haven't checked it out. And I love Texas. I obviously love the United States, but I love Texas from a natural resource point of view. You know what I mean? I worked in oil and gas, so I see our natural advantages, and I like it.
We're traveling like 1,600 kilometers per hour right now through the universe, and you can move.
True.
We are moving. You know, you like Texas because you're used to it. You're comfortable in it. You know, you know where the rabbits are. But if I dropped you off in some other place other than maybe California, you'd figure your way around pretty quick.
What I noticed, that was something else I wanted to ask you. You're buying a deal in Maryland. You used to say don't buy where there's snow. I don't know. I've only been to Maryland maybe once. I don't even know if I've been.
Well, that was an exaggeration. Okay. The thing about the snow is, don't buy where there's snow, but you got to put all the pieces of data together. I'm 40 minutes from DC.
DC's going to be there a while. If no place else survives, it'll survive.
All the money in the universe has to go through there.
Yeah, few trillion.
So I've been trying to buy in Maryland, man, for 3 or 4 years.
Dude, and
it's not like it's getting clobbered in snow. That comment about the snow it was taken out of context, by the way. I'm like, look, I am going to avoid cold places unless there is a number of other reasons to go there. Jobs. It was really a jobs comment, you know, and I think somebody was asking me about Detroit. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to Detroit. There's no jobs going into Detroit and nothing but snow hitting the ground. That means you're going to have a bunch of old people that will be like, it's cold, shit. 70 years old. God damn, it's cold here. I just realized how damn cold it is. Let's go to Phoenix.
Or Texas.
Or Florida. They go into Florida. Dude, people in Detroit in the east, they're not going to go to Arizona. They're not going to go to California. They're not going to Texas. They're coming to Florida.
When the crash happened in 2009, my father-in-law at the time, he died worth about $30 million. He was a big fish in a small pond. Ate all the other fish, but he had money. and the financial crash was going on. And he looked at me and he said, if I was your age, I'd be in Florida buying everything, because I don't understand. I understand why the rest of the economies are crashing. I don't understand why people in Florida can't pay their bills. I'd go out there and buy the whole damn state. So that was something that he saw. He was about 75 at the time. Anyways, but he's like, he didn't have the gumption to go. So yeah. I watched a lot of interviews. I watched because I wanted to know where you're at now. I mean, I catch your obvious, all your videos that you put that have knowledge in them, but I'm not watching a lot of hour-long podcast interviews where where you catch up on family and stuff. But I have a daughter. She's 6 years old. You took your daughters on a 19-country tour, and you had them catch a fish. You had 20. They had 20 items or 20 deals that they had to do, and the last one was catch a fish by hand. And you'd pay them $10,000, but you invested it into the fund. And I absolutely love the video of, I believe it's Sabrina getting her check, where she brings the check. She's like, "Hey, Christmas came early," and you're like, "Yeah, blow it."
Yeah, blow it, man. She's like, no, I want to reinvest the money. I'm like, she's 10 years old. I said, no, just spend the money. There's more coming next month.
You have a rule about it.
The point of that was we distributed $18 million to investors this year, Cardone Capital.
That's awesome.
18 million. Okay, my goal is to do 20 million a month, sending 20 million out to people.
That's awesome.
I'm going to show them how good this real estate thing is. And just so everybody understands, like, I bought a jet before I ever offered anybody to invest with me. So that jet is not being paid with money we raise. Okay, we buy a deal. I bought that Maryland deal. I've been flying private for 3 years now. We didn't allow anybody into our funds until about 20 months ago.
Oh, I know. I seen it.
Yeah, and so this last deal that I bought, I put $40 million down, and with my money, I signed on the debt. There was no money raised before we bought that deal. Once that deal stabilizes and cash flows, then I say, hey, it's open for business. It is, by the way, positive cash flow right now. So people can invest with it at Cardone Capital. But the investor knows going in, dude, the guy bought the deal with his money, bought it with his debt, signed on his name. He did the research. He negotiated it. He's saying it's cash flowing. And then when they come in, let's say they come in January, they're going to get a check February 15th.
Dude, that's amazing.
We distribute a check every month. And the reason I distribute a check every month is because I'm invested. And because I'm invested, I want a check every month. I can't pay you every quarter and pay me every month. So I'm like, hey, pay everybody every month. So
you have a rule. You spoke about it with your watch.
Yeah.
Buy all the junk out of passive income.
All the stupid stuff, all the stupid shit. Like, this is stupid. This is so ridiculous. It's unbelievable.
I love it. And you got
this right here. This is stupid too, but somebody gave me this. It's a diamond 10X necklace,
dude,
which I love.
I was thinking about sending you an AR-12, but can't touch it. To me, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. My wife's got an AR with a 10X all over the thing. But the point of this is, if you can't buy two of them, don't buy it. If you can't pay cash for it, don't pay for it. Don't buy it.
And the last
you have to buy two with cash, and it needs to come out of cash, a passive income, not some cash stashed away in the wall.
And you, for yourself, say you have to admit it's stupid.
And still admit that it's the dumbest thing you could have done. By the way, it was, and it is.
Well, and look, hey, for everybody that's ever been a Grant Cardone hater, when I started following you, all I heard was a dude from Louisiana talking about the condoms got to come off eventually. I was like, I speak this dude's language. Like, I didn't know anything about you. You were jet shopping at the time. I got 10X rule. It changed my life. I hadn't read a book since Squashed on my own, and I'm talking about 7th grade. Next book I read that a teacher didn't tell me to was 10X rule. Changed my life. Got us to where we're at now. I've read every other book except for the one that you don't promote that much, which is If You're Not First, You're Last. I need to get on that one. Read, Sell, or Be Sold. So when your haters come at you, when the old poodle of prison tried to flex on you, and everybody wanted to jump on him, like, oh yeah, see.
Who's that? Poodle of Prison?
The Poodle of Prison. You don't know who the Poodle of Prison is?
No, never heard of him.
Well, think about it a little bit, and then you'll know. The criminal that you were on his podcast, he's a criminal. He's a bum. He's got a negative net worth. The Poodle
Oh
of
my God!
the Poodle.
You mean that rat? The rat.
That rat, the Poodle of Prison. So I don't mention my haters' names. I just give them a nickname. That way they can't shine on me. But
Piece of garbage, man.
When I watched that interview, everybody's like, "See, Corey, see," and I was like, "Nah, man. If you'd have read Sell or Be Sold, you'll know exactly what the fuck's Grant saying."
The guy wouldn't ask anything about the $300 million that we raised or the $1 billion worth of assets because he didn't want to elevate the conversation to something above him. He's still trying to slick sell a pen.
Oh, I was like, guys, and this is the lesson that I took in the last couple of months. I'm like, I need a $100 product, I need a $1,000 product, I need a $5,000 product. I need all of those. And if they don't like the 100, I need to try to sell them the 1,000. If they don't like the 1,000, try to sell them the 5,000. Price isn't the objection. We go over this every day in our office. You know, we're trying to rent units, and they're like, "Oh man, they can't afford them." I'm like, "Well, they're not the right tenant. Price isn't the objection. There's another reason. You got to get to the real objection." So when I was watching that, and people were sending it to me because they knew we were going to have this interview, you know what I mean? They're like, I'm like, guys, just go read Sell or Be Sold. Get on it, just get it, and understand the man. Get to know the man.
Just elevate the conversation. But like, if you're still talking about how to make a sale, if your best question is, how do I handle an objection? You're not thinking big enough.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Like it's just dumb. It's like, whatever, dude. If you can't talk your way out of jail, you ain't much of a salesman.
Well, I mean, big facts, big facts. So I've got my board cleared, I think.
Brother, you're the man, dude. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you taking interest in me, man. Appreciate you doing the real estate game. And look forward to the day where you got 6,000 units.
Dude, I can't wait to come out to Miami.
I hope you're gonna. Are you coming to this? Are you coming to the 10X?
Dude, I got a suite there. That's I got a suite
bring your investor friends. Bring some friends that you think could invest with you. Okay, people are gonna be jacked.
I've got a mastermind around the whole event where we're staying at an Airbnb at a mansion. We're bringing out a lot of people the day before, going over some owner finance strategies. And then we're all gonna get in a limo and ride over to your place and hang out with with Kevin Hart. Who else is there? What else is going on at Growth
Kevin
Con?
Hart, Magic Johnson. I think I'm gonna have Usher there.
Dude.
Maybe John Travolta, my friend John. He might be coming because that dude knows business. Who else we got? We got the guy that did all the Facebook ads for Trump. $900 million worth of Facebook ads.
Dude, like
I want to know what he knows that I don't know.
He knows. I want that dude's number too. That's amazing.
Propelio's going to be there. My wife's going to be there. I'll speak every day. I open and close every day. Who else is going to be there, man? It's a big list, dude. It's a beautiful, beautiful list. Today we're going to talk about how to find value add without spending money.
And your daughter spoke at the last one, correct?
Yeah, both of my daughters spoke at the last one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it, man. I got a daughter.
We'll see you there, dog.
Love what you're doing. See you there. Appreciate your time, Grant.
Hey, appreciate you, Ryan.
Thank you. We did it on Ryan's